Alright, now that we have done some equations that ended up with an imaginary number as an answer, let's talk a little bit more about operating with imaginary number and real numbers together. So a complex number is a combination of real and imaginary numbers. Let's write this down. A complex numbers is a combination of real and imaginary numbers. A standard form, because usually when we write a complex number, we write it in standard form. Standard form of a complex number is A plus BI, where A and B are real numbers. So there's actually two parts to your complex number. The first part is always going to be the real number because it doesn't have an imaginary number I attached to it. So the first part of a standard form is the real part, real number part. The second part of a complex number is your imaginary part, because it does have an I attached to it. So an example of a complex number in standard form would be 4 plus 3i. 4 is the real part because there's no I attached to it. 3i is my imaginary part. Another example could be 7 minus 10i. Right? So you have 7 is the real part, and 10i minus 10i, negative 10i, is your imaginary part. So now, how am I going to take these complex number that has real number and imaginary number and start adding, subtracting, and multiplying them together? Well, for adding and subtracting, all you're really doing is combining like terms. What that means is that you get rid of all of the parentheses by distributing any negative in front of it into the parentheses. And you're just adding or subtracting any like terms together. Real number with real number, imaginary with imaginary. I'm going to go straight to part B because we can do part A as a practice. Notice how I have a negative right there. I'm going to take that negative and distribute it to the parentheses behind it. So that's going to give me 7 minus 6i minus 3 plus 6i. And then I see that 7 and minus 3 are like terms. That's going to give me 4. I see that minus 6i and plus 6i is a like term. But the funny thing is that these two cancels out. So that, my final answer, is just 4. Something a little bit more complex. Let's take a look at part C. You got the minus right there. I'm going to take that subtraction, distribute it into just the parentheses. So I have 13 minus 2 minus 7i plus 5i. Combining like term, 13 minus 2, that's a like term. Those are real number, 11. Minus 7i plus 5i. Those are like term. Those are my imaginary numbers. That's going to give me minus 2i. Notice that I'm writing all my answers in standard form. The real number comes first. Imaginary number comes second. And then we can give this a go. Take about 10 seconds, 20, 30 seconds. Okay, let's talk about multiplying. When we multiply, we're pretty much doing the box, or you can distribute. Right? Just like way earlier at the very beginning of this unit. There's one thing we need to know. When we multiply, we will get into I squared. From before, we remember that I squared is equal to negative 1. We're going to need to use this little piece of information to help us with our multiplication. For the first one, 4i times negative 6 plus I. In this case, I can distribute that 4i in. 4i times negative 6 is going to give me negative 24i. 4i times I is going to give me positive 4. I times I is going to give me I squared. Remember how I said I squared is negative 1? I'm now going to take that and replace I squared. So I get negative 24i plus 4. Instead of I squared, I now have times negative 1. And 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And because I want my answer in standard form, I know that negative 4 comes first, and then minus 24i comes second. That is my final answer when I multiply. Same thing with this one. 9 minus 2i times negative 4 plus 7i. This one I actually like doing with my square, with my box. 9 minus 2i times negative 4 plus 7i. That's my box. Let's multiply. 9 times negative 4, negative 32. Nope, lied. Negative 36. Sorry. 4, negative 4 times negative 2i, positive 8i. 9 times 7i, 63i. And then 7i times negative 2i, negative 14i squared. Know that all my answers are the stuff in the middle. So I'm going to add up all the squares. Negative 36 plus 63i and 8i combine together to make 71i minus 14i squared. Remember I said that I squared is equal to negative 1. So now I'm going to have to replace I squared with negative 1. Negative 36 plus 71i minus 14 times negative 1. Minus 14 times negative 1 is positive 14. So negative 36 plus 71i plus 14. Now I have two like terms that I can combine. Negative 36 plus 14 is going to give me negative 22 plus 71i. Real number in front, imaginary number in the back. That is my standard form, and that is my final answer.